So good morning, everybody. My name is Charter Morris. I'm Director of International Student and Scholar Services, and I've got two of my team members here with me. Ask them to introduce themselves.
Hi everyone, my name is Trong Nguyen. I am Associate Director of International Student and Scholar Services.
My name is Katie Grace Dockery. I'm an international student advisor.
So today we have a good bit of information to share. We're going to go over a good number of details. A lot of what we're trying to do is prepare you for your visa interviews. Right now I've got our slides up. I do want to address, I know that there's been a lot of questions about recent changes with the administration and travel bans and pause on visas. So we're going to address those at the beginning. If later there are questions about it, we'll refer back to it, but I kind of wanted to hit the basics with that. So our goal today is just to go over those basics. If you do have questions, this is our contact information. So you can always find us online here at international.ua.edu/ISSS. Or email us at international@ua.edu. We do operate Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:45 p.m. Central Standard Time. So just keep that in mind with time differences and the fact that we do work just Monday through Friday. So again, I wanted to cover just a couple of things really quickly. The main thing is about the immigration updates for appointment pauses. So you may be aware, and I'm sorry that this is a bit wordy, but on May 27th, the Department of State put a temporary pause on F, M, and J visa appointments at U.S. embassies and consulates. And so that pause is still in effect. They expected it to be a pretty quick turnaround time to get back to opening appointments, but we are now 2 weeks since the announcement, and they have not reopened appointments. We have heard anecdotally of some appointments opening up at some consulates, but then that there's not a lot to substantiate that. So we are not sure exactly when this is supposed to happen. What I will say is that what we're giving as guidance right now is if you have an appointment, if you've already booked an appointment, that appointment should be secure. They are not canceling booked appointments. So keep your appointment as scheduled. Check regularly with your local consulate or embassy to make sure that if you're looking for appointments, because you may see appointment availability in your area before others might see that. Once those new visa appointments come available, please schedule as early as possible. It may be that your appointment date is after the start of the school year. We understand that. Once you have secured a date, it is sometimes possible to then have it moved up or expedite that appointment. So secure the earliest available date, even if it is beyond the start date of this semester. Admitted students need to continue to submit documents. We're still processing I-20s and DS-2019s. We have not stopped that. So you need to go ahead and continue to submit those documents so that we can issue everything to you so that you'll be ready and have all the paperwork ready. The other issue that came up is about visa issuance bans. So there were two acts basically that happened within days of each other. So last week on Wednesday, the president issued a proclamation which instituted a travel ban for 19 countries. 12 countries was a full travel ban, 7 was a partial travel ban. And then 2 days later, on the 7th, June 7th, or 3 days later on June 7th, the Department of State mirrored that with a visa issuance ban. Basically, as of this Monday, the State Department is no longer issuing visas for the list of countries here, which include Afghanistan, Burma, Chad, Congo, Republic of the Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. That's all non-immigrant and immigrant visas is all visas. The Department of State has suspended the issuance of B1, B2, F, M, and J student visas to nationals of Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela. Those are, I'm sure, going to be challenged, but we have not had any updates. One thing that I will say is that the link at the top here, this link on this page, is where we will have the latest updates. If I flip over to our page, we maintain this page about things like travel and travel bans, visas, executive orders, and external resources. That is something that I maintain with my staff, and we will keep this up to date. So if you're looking for the latest, this information here is valid right now. It may not be valid next week. There may be challenges that change this dynamic. There could be, additional countries added to travel bans. Most of this will hit the media, but when we have credible information that we can cite the direct sources, we will include that on our website so that you're aware. If you're one of the impacted, if you're from one of the impacted countries, please reach out to us. We can talk with you. At this stage, I don't have a lot of information to share. It is the ban has only been in effect for 48 hours. It was announced last week. We have not seen how it has played out. One thing I really want to stress is this last sentence. This ban does not apply to those who already hold visas. So if you have a visa that was issued prior to June 9th, it should still be valid for use to enter the US after June 9th. So if you are from one of the impacted countries and you had your visa issued, in prior to this Monday, you should still be able to use that document to enter the United States. It also does not prevent anyone from any of these countries from submitting an application. I will say it is more than likely that any application without the exceptions that they've laid out in more detail will probably be rejected. We'll move past that. I know that there will probably be questions that come up during Q&A about this, and we'll try to address them as best we can. But I will just reiterate, this is very new, and we have the details that we have, so that we may not be able to answer specifics. Okay, moving on from that. The whole point of this is talking about preparing you for the visa interview. But in preparing for the visa interview, we need to talk just briefly about what to do to apply for your visa. So once we have issued your I-20 or your DS 2019, the goal is, of course, to get you to the visa itself. Here we have a link to our main page about applying for a student visa, which includes all those steps. So please use that as a resource. Once you've received the I-20, this is basically the main thing. One thing I want to point out is there are a couple of areas of information that you need and is critical for paying for your SEVIS fee and for applying for your visa. That information would include your SEVIS ID number here at the top left. That is extremely critical for both the SEVIS fee payment and the DS-160. And then there is our school code, which is found here in the center. You'll see this school information, and it will have our code. And our code starts with ATL because we're in the Atlanta district. And so you will find that information there. For those of you who happen to be on J1 student visas, you will have a slightly different format to your DS 2019, but it will still include the SEVIS ID number here at the top. And instead of a school code, we have a program number here in the middle. The program number is P103854. You'll need that information both to pay the SEVIS fee and to book your visa appointment and do your DS-160. So once you have your documents, and I'm sure you all do, you will then pay your SEVIS fee. Just as a reminder, you do pay that at fmjfee.com. I know that that's a .com website, but that is an official government website. When you go on there, you will at the top see a button that says pay I-901 fee. Once you click into that, it'll take you through a few things. Basically, it's going to ask, what is your CVS ID number? What's the school code? What's your name and date of birth? It wants to make sure that what they see in CVS matches with what you are putting in there. So you'll put that in there and you'll go through the prompts. Just as a reminder, the fee is $350 for F1 students, and it is $220 for J1 students. So once you have paid the fee and everything there is taken care of, you can move to the next stage. So the visa application and the format may look a little differently depending on the embassy or consulate, but generally it's going to follow these basic steps. So step one, knowing your visa type. And I really have to stress this. So I've got the US Travel Docs page from India here. And when you go in there, the first prompt is, which visa are you applying for? Non-immigrant or immigrant visa? So, in a lot of terminology that you use, a lot of people talk about immigrating to the United States or being an immigrant. In the US context, we have two categories of internationals. We have non-immigrants, those who are here temporarily, and we have immigrants, those who will be here permanently. And permanently means green card holders, permanent residents. So immigrant visa is a green card. Non-immigrant visa is literally everything else, pretty much. So if you're coming for a student visa, if you're coming as a tourist, if you're coming to work, you're applying for a non-immigrant visa. So when you start these prompts, that is the first one you will do. When you go into this, hopefully it will take you through the next steps, which is to complete your application for the visa. The application for the visa is something called a DS-160. So once you've initiated this, it should guide you to our State Department's DS-160 page. That is a separate thing from the embassy's website. So it'll take you out of the embassy's website. If you click on that, straight to the Department of State's website, and you'll land on a page like this. When you apply, you're going to do this all online. There are a lot of resources for you, including the visa application page, an FAQ, and we have an example form. These things will help you as you fill in your information, but we're going to go through a couple of the steps about information that we commonly get questions about with the DS-160. You will need to do a separate DS-160 for each and every person who is coming with you. So if you have a spouse or children who are on F2 or J2 dependent visas, they each need their own DS-160. You can all attend the same visa interview, but you will each have to complete a separate form. And I have one here, a note here is for Canadians and those from the Bahamas, you are not required to obtain an F1 visa or a J1 visa, but you will have to obtain an I-20 or a DS-2019 and pay the CVIS fee. You'll be granted visa status at the port of entry. That is an agreement between the US and Canada and US and the Bahamas. So they are the only exceptions to the visa rule. Visa applications, the DS-160, one of the things that you'll find as you go through, most of it is about your biographical information. So it's asking for name, date of birth, family members, any relatives who might live in the US, your social media history, things like this. You're going to input a lot of details, all of which you will have. It will ask you a number of things about your studies, but it will come to a point where it asks for a US point of contact. And so when you get to this, a lot of people become very confused. When you go into this, you will want to make sure for the contact person that you do not know. There is not a singular contact. It is the University of Alabama that is inviting you to come here. We are your point of contact. So you'll list the organization, the University of Alabama, their relationship to you as a school official, and then you can use Trong, my, and Katie Grace's address here at the International Student and Scholar Services Office as your address. So it has our phone number and our email address there. We have it here on this slide. And on our website, we have these detailed. We have had questions from folks who have said that they need a second point of contact. I think that that is prompted by how they enter the information, that it may be generating the request for a second point of contact. That should not be necessary, but if you get to a point and you've filled in this information like this, and it is still asking for a secondary point of contact, you can include the DSO who is listed on the website. And again, the same details here. The DSO that's on your I-20 or the responsible officer listed on your DS 2019, you can include them. If you are, as you are a graduate student, you can include your graduate director or your professor as a point of contact for a secondary point of contact. But again, I believe if you complete this as we have laid out, it should not ask for a secondary point of contact beyond this. Moving forward, once you have completed the DS-160, you're going to move into paying your visa fee. At that prompting, your embassy or consulate will have its own instructions for how you pay that fee. Some embassies or consulates have you work with a local bank with whom they have an account so that you can deposit that money directly. One thing that I really want to stress with this is that there are visa reciprocity fees. And so sometimes the visa application fee, depending on your citizenship, might be slightly higher than the standard visa application fee, and that will be based off of reciprocity with your home country. I have had that question before with some of our students. Why is my visa application more expensive than other countries? And that's because your home country would charge a U.S. citizen that same rate for your visa application fee if we were going there as a student. So they do what's called reciprocity. So if it is a higher charge for a U.S. citizen going to your country, they will adjust the fee for the visa application. But for most folks, the DS-160 is the standard application fee. So just, again, check with your embassy or consulate on how to pay the fee and to what exactly that fee might be. Now, once you have moved through the DS-160 and paid your visa fee, you're going to schedule your appointment. As I noted before, currently there's a visa appointment pause. So at this stage, you may not be able to book an appointment. Some resources for you would be to check the visa wait times. Here to the right, you'll see there's global wait times. These are updated monthly now, so they don't do a day-to-day update. The old format used to do pretty like real-time updates for when visas would be available, but here you can see that this is done once a month. The last update was May 25th. And so I anticipate at the end of June, this whole chart will be updated. They've also simplified things a little bit. They rounded off. They used to do it in numbers of days. So if it was taking 100 days, it would say 100 days. Now they would mark it as 3 months or 4 months. They're going to round it to the nearest month for how long it is to obtain an appointment. There is great fluctuation in the visa appointment times, especially during summer for student visas, because summer is the peak time for visa applications. If you are in a country where there are multiple consular locations, keep in mind that it might be possible to book with another consulate and obtain an earlier visa appointment. So we are going to move on from there. I will stress, though, generally speaking, you're going to apply at the U.S. Embassy or consulate that has jurisdiction over where you live. So in countries like Vietnam, where there's 2 consular locations, you want to apply to the consulate closer to your location. In India, where there's 5 consular locations, you would want to apply with the one that has jurisdiction over your area. There are some countries like the UK. In the United Kingdom, you will have 3 consular locations, but only one does visas. So you only have a singular location where you can actually apply for a visa. So that does exist as well. Anyway, everything is very country specific. If you go to the U.S. Embassy or consulate's website, it should narrow down to exactly where you can apply. Now, Getting to the last couple of slides, documentation to take with you to the visa interview. Bring documentation. It is always better to be over-prepared than it is to be under-prepared. I know most of you will do that. You've worked very hard to get admitted to a graduate program. You understand what it takes to go through these processes. It is extremely challenging, I think, for someone to get through just the admissions process. So you understand that documentation is important. Generally speaking, the main documents you must carry with you will be your passport, your DS-160, your fee payment receipt, just proof of your fee payment, the photo. So on the photo note is if during the upload process and the DS-160 process, your digital photo failed to upload, which does happen rarely, you'll want to take a physical passport photo. The photo requirements are outlined on the Department of State's website, but generally it is 5 centimeters by 5 centimeters in format. They have very special rules for your placement, the background color, and everything else. So if your photo failed to upload during the DS-160 application process online, make sure to take that physical photo with you. You will definitely bring your I-20 or your DS-2019. You'll bring proof of SEVIS fee payment, and you'll bring your admissions letter and the proof of funding. So remember, bring the documentation that you used to obtain your I-20 or DS-2019. However, this is where it's important to note you want to bring additional documentation. These are the things that don't always get requested, but will likely come up in most interviews. They may ask you for your academic support documents. So they may ask to prove your eligibility to be a student in the graduate program. They may ask for copies of your GRE or GMAT scores, your TOEFL, your IELTS, any other standardized test. They may ask for copies of your transcripts, your mark sheets, diplomas, degrees, or certificates as evidence of your eligibility to move into a graduate program. We're going to mention this over and over and over again, but proof of non-immigrant intent. You need to prove your ties to your home country and your intention to depart the United States once you complete your studies. That is not always something that they ask, but it is something that you will need to prove regardless of whether they ask. You need to talk about how this fits in with your plans and your career and really establish to the visa officer your non-immigrant intent. Finally, the proof of funding. So again, we talked about it in the slide before this, but you want to show the evidence of the proof of funds that you used to obtain your I-20. But if you remember when you're doing your I-20, you're showing 1 year of funding. Well, your degree will be longer than 1 year. And so the question will be, how are you going to cover your expenses beyond that first year? How are you going to cover all of this for years 2, 3, and 4? That might be proof that your scholarships or loans or funding are continuing. But if you are using personal funds, they may need to have proof that your family have the ability to continue to support you at the same level for years 2, 3, and 4 as you continue in your graduate degree. And you should also just check the U.S. Embassy or Consulate website to double check what is required locally. They may have additional things that they are looking to see at the embassy or consulate. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Trong to get to the actual meat of this discussion, which is what to do to prepare for your visa interview. You're muted.
Yeah, thank you, Charter. So there are 10 points to remember when you applying for a non-immigrant visa. The first is to prove your non-immigrant intent. As Charter mentioned earlier, if you're coming on an F or a J, they are non-immigrant visa. And so your job is to prove that you do not have an intent to immigrate to the United States. So what does non-immigrant intent means? It means that you have a strong ties to your home country, and you have a home that you do not plan to abandon, that you will depart the US when you complete your studies, and you will return to your home country once you finish with your program of studies. It's impossible to tell you what exactly the visa officers is looking for as proof of non-immigrant intent. But some suggestions could be, if you have a job that you plan to return or resume after your studies in the US, if you have families, if you have any property or investment in your home countries, that makes it harder for you to abandon those ties in your country. So additionally, when you're applying for the visa, the consular officer may ask you about your specific plans or promise of future employment, your relationship with your family members. And so answering those questions could additionally prove that you do not have an intent to immigrate to the United States. And with that, we will move to the next few points. So expect that the interview will be conducted in English. While you come to the United States, all of your study and your living here will be in English. So the visa officer expects you to have the interview in English. So one suggestion is to practice your English conversation with a native speaker before the interview. But do not prepare speeches. The visa officer can tell if you are reading from a script or you sound like a robot. So keep it conversational, but fluent and natural. The next point here is speak for yourself. The consular officer wants to interview you, not your family member, not an agent who apply for your visa on your behalf. So you will create a much more positive experience with the visa officer if you prepared to speak on your own. The next point here is to know your program and how it fits with your career plans. Be able to explain to the consular officer why you choose to study in at the University of Alabama, and specifically in the major or degree program that you have chosen. So if you are a graduate student, know what you're studying, why you're studying it, what is your research topic? You may not have the specific idea if you have not have a direct supervisor. So if you are coming on a teaching assistantship, you may not have a specific narrow field of research that you'll be working on, but studying in the graduate program, especially PhD program, you should have, your plan of study, your statement at your in your graduate school applications, be able to articulate all of those if you are asked by the visa officer. All right. Be brief and maintain positive attitude. It is really important to dress nicely and smile during your interview. Dress in business or business casual would be good. The visa officers are under a lot of pressure to conduct interviews. Each and every day they have to conduct 100 to 150 interviews per day. So that will give each applicant about a minute or two to have the time with this visa officer. So you want your answers to be short and to the point. You answer the questions without too much of the details or elaborations that is not related to the questions being asked. So the best thing you can do is to clearly articulate why you want to study at UA, what you plan to study, and how you plan to use your education when you return home. And again, because you are and the visa officer under pressure of time, you should be prepared to answer those questions in no more than 3 to 5 sentences, and practice those answers until you feel very comfortable with those. All right. Supporting documentation, what Charter already mentions, all of the documents that you should bring with you during the visa interview. But I want to point out here is that your document should be organized and clearly labeled. So if the visa officer wants to look at, your document, they can find it, quickly, and exactly what they're looking at should match with, like, say, your financial documents should match with your I-20. Your name should match with the I-20. So everything has to match with each other, and the document should goes in an organized manner. So different requirements can be for different countries. If you're from a developing country or countries that where many students have remained in the United States long term rather than returning home, you may face more difficulty when applying for a visa. You may be asked about job opportunities at your home country after you study in the US. So be prepared to answer those questions. You should review your country's specific requirements on the US consulate's websites to get more details about what kind of documents or what kind of requirements the visa officer may require you to have. All right. Employment. So why many of you, if you're coming on an F or J, you may work on or off campus during your studies, but such employment is incidental. That means it's only secondary or optional to the main goal of you coming here to study. So as a student visa applicant, you should be clear about your main goal on your F or J visa. Do not say that, oh, I plan to come to the US so that I can work. I know that I can work and I can add, extra income while I'm here. That should not be your primary goal on an F or J visa. And again, you should be able to clearly explain your plan to return home at the end of your program. Now, if you have dependents, it's generally best for your dependents or your dependent spouse or children to apply for F2, J2 visas at the same time as you. If your spouse or children will join you at a later time. Remember, usually it's more challenging if they apply separately from you. And they need to be able to clearly state their reason to joining you. They also have to prove their ties to the home country and establish their non-immigrant intent, just like the F1. If your spouse and children are not joining you in the US, then you need to be prepared to explain how they will support themselves in your absence. This can especially be very challenging to explain if you are the main source of income in your family. If the consular officer gains the impression that you are planning to support your family with the money that you earn in the US while you study, it's likely that the visa application will be denied. All right, so there are some other special considerations that we want to mention here. Tell the truth. This is, like the first and foremost rules when applying for a visa. The visa officer are trained to detect lies, and a lot of the time they already have all of the background information about you. So do not lie, do not plan to lie during the interview, because that's an act of perjury. Social media questions on the visa application. On the form DS-160, the standard online application used by individuals applying for the non-immigrant visa. And you have to declare all of these social media platforms that you use during the 5 years prior to your visa application, and provide any identifiers or handles the use of those platforms. So list all of the social media that you use or affiliated with on the application, and the visa officer can check those informations. Any past visits to your US, you may be asked, by the visa officers. So do list them if you have visited the US before. The third country applications. So if, let's say you are from India, but you choose to apply for the US visa in, let's say, France, for example, you're not a citizen or permanent resident of the country. So be prepared to explain and justify your reason why you are applying for a visa not in your home country. Now, if you have a valid reason, for example, if you are studying there in the home country, it may be okay, but generally we recommend that you applying for the US visa in your home country because the visa officers at your home country are equipped and they can verify the information, for citizens in that country. Arrests and convictions. So if you or any if theirs has been arrests and convictions in the past, make sure that you have documents for those. That will include, any driving under influence of alcohol or DUI or drugs. If you have any convictions or arrests in the past, it's highly recommend that you consult with an experienced immigration attorney to check out your options before attending your visa interviews. All right. And now you've attended the interview and you wait for the decision from the embassy or the consulate. Now, please note that when you're applying for the visa, it can be refused. So the refusal is different than a denial. So if your visa is refused, you may be subject to additional security clearance. And this clearance can take weeks or months to get the visa officer to issue you a visa. And this clearance is most commonly known as administrative processing. During this administrative processing, you may be requested to provide more information so that they can clear you before they issue a visa. And keep in mind that this process cannot be expedited by anyone. If your visa denied, you should be provided with a piece of paper telling you what's the reason that your visa is denied. And usually is under section, it's usually for section 214B, 212G, 212A, or some other reasons. You can find more information about what these reasons means on this website here, and it gives you a little bit more information what it means. But for us, we see mostly F1 and J1 visas denied under the INA 214B, which is a failure to establish non-immigrant intent. I want to stress that, like a visa denial doesn't prevent you from reapplying. But if you're reapplying for another visa, you want to make sure that you have significant change or documents to prove your non-immigrant intent. And you can apply in the future again. This one, I want to talk about the visa validity. So your visa may be issued as a single entry, which is denoted by a letter S, or multi-entry visa. And it may not be issued for the full length of your program. So as you can see on the sample of this visa, so this big L student get a multi-entry visa. So it has a letter M right here. And the visa here is valid for roughly 5 years from August 4th, 2023 to August 3rd, 2028. But if you do not have the visa validity for the full length of the program, it shouldn't be an issue. In fact, a lot of our students are here on a 3 or 4 or 5 year program, and the visa is only valid for a year or two. And this is not a problem. The visa only needs to be valid on the date that you enter or re-enter the US from abroad. So as long as it's valid on the day that you enter the US, you should be fine. The length of the visa validity and number of entries allowed will be based on the visa reciprocity. And you can check it out on the link here on our website. I mean, on the travel state website. When can you enter the US? So F1 and J1 student may enter the US up to 30 days prior to the report date listed on the I-20 or the DS-2019. So if you have an I-20 that says your report date is August 13, 2025, for example, then the earliest day that you can enter the US is July 13. So the earliest date that you can enter is also printed on the I-20. All right, and again, this is where you can find us or seek advice. We operate from Monday to Friday, 8 to 4:45. You can email us or call us. Our email here is international@ua.edu. And phone number is on the screen here. And our website is a source of information, and we have a lot of resources as well as, updates about, the recent development about visa, about travel bans, and I highly recommend checking on our website for news and updates that we may as we get more information.
So I'm going to stop share because I know that we probably have a good bit of Q&A that is coming through and see if we can answer some of the questions. So yeah, first question that I see is advising on those that are facing the travel ban, like those from Iran. So right now, again, it is we're 48 hours into the effect of the travel ban. It went into effect at 12:01 a.m. on Monday, June 9th, and here we are, June 11th. So we're barely 2 days into this. We have not seen how this is uh, impacted just yet. Those that already have visas issued will should still be able to come in. The exceptions to the travel ban, there are exceptions, of course, for green card holders and for those that are going through asylum or refugee status. There's a whole list of exceptions, but it's very narrow. And I will say for students, it is going to be extremely challenging. There is an allowance for what's called a national interest exception, NIE. However, that was used during the COVID time and was pretty generally granted the NIE exceptions because it was all based around whether or not you had your vaccinations or anything else. It was a fairly blanket statement as long as the school could show that it was back in in-person studies that you could be granted that NIE to be able to come in. This is not going to be like that. There are going to, I think NIE exceptions are going to be extremely rare. We have already been asked about that. There is no guide for this. So we are in consultation right now with our general counsel, our attorneys here at the university to see how to proceed. But a national interest exception is a hard case to make. You have to show that whatever you are doing is in the US's national interest. And so the prevailing guide there is that it's likely to only be those who are working as full-time employees in critical areas. think medical research, cancer research, that type of thing, that is going to likely overcome that with an NIE. We hopefully will have more. If we have students who are impacted by this, please, reach out, be in conversation with your department, your academic department, and your graduate program directors, and the graduate school. So another question is, I have sisters in the US. One of them has a green card. The other just finished her PhD and is on OPT. Should I put them in as my point of contact? Um, Yes, you can as a personal point of contact if it's asked beyond that. Be aware that you also need to disclose your connection to other people in your family, immediate family members, or even distant family members who are already in the US. One note about that is that those can be reasons for visa denials. I think, Trong, you've seen that over and over again. Lots of visa denials because there are already other family members here in the US. Do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, so I just want to add that, like, again, we go back to strong ties to your home country. And so, like having two family members that are, in the US and one of them's already a green card, that is, weaken your ties to your home country. So you will have to have more substantial evidence to overcome that. I'm not saying that it will be a reason for a visa denials, but it's definitely will weaken your ties. And so be prepared to maybe got more scrutinized on your visa application.
There is a question here about transferring CVIS records from another institution in the University of Alabama. We have information about that on our website. However, if you are abroad and you have not already been studying at that institution and that your record with them is still in an initial status, it's a little bit more challenging, especially if your visa was issued for that other school. Technically, you have to enter the US on their record. And then after entering the US, you would have to transfer your CVIS record to us. We have information about CVIS transfers on our same page for how to get your I-20 and everything. It's at the very bottom of the page, I believe, or near the bottom of the page about CVIS transfers. We work with that quite regularly. Okay. Somebody had asked about the slides itself. I put this in the chat. And I think that this is going to get shared out, but this is the link to the slides that we presented today. This information is also really readily available in various sections of our website, but primarily on the same page about obtaining your visa and I-20. You'll find all of these details there. It is a very lengthy page and it's divided up into sections. So hopefully um, it will answer your questions there. So let's see here. We have someone who graduated in spring. They have a visa that will expire in November. They're going to Brazil and renew their visa. When I applied for my DS-160, I thought I should inform someone in the US that knew me, meaning I didn't add ISSS as a point of contact. Is there any way I can correct it or any recommendation? To be honest, I wouldn't worry about it. They're going to see that. The fact that you have a US contact, perfectly fine. So you can use, if you do have US contacts, absolutely, you can list those. Most students don't know anybody in the US yet because this is their first time coming. So that's why we say use our contact. So that should be it. So let's see here. We've got one. I submitted my DS-160 stating only my LinkedIn account before the social media update. I have already started my visa application. Do I need to update the DS-160 with other social media platforms and share with the support team? I believe you will need to go back in there. So what they're looking for is a complete picture. And that's why so for clarification, that is why the visa application pause is in effect right now. They're not taking appointments because they're very literally trying to roll out how they're handling any social media. And I am, nobody knows exactly how it's going to happen, but I think that they are honestly going to use AI, which is fed your social media handles to scroll through the social media sites to look for content and things that you may have posted. to see if there is anything that would be of any security concerns. This is all brand new, and I'm hoping that it will be implemented fairly and that they won't be making decisions off of maybe bad AI, but we don't know. One thing that we have heard from folks, I know Trong and I just came back from our national conference, and there was some folks that say, I have students who years ago ended their social media, even before the 5 years that they're looking for it. And so, is that going to look bad on their part? And it could, like closing out your social media accounts. They just don't trust that anybody doesn't have social media of some kind these days. Though I work in academia, have pretty much my entire adult life, and I know lots of professors who absolutely hate social media. They are not on these platforms at all because it is not worth their time. So, um, we did not discuss the interview waiver program. If you've already, so somebody's asking about the interview waiver. If you have received a visa before in the same category, generally, if you are going to renew your visa or apply for a visa and it's in the same category, you may qualify for an interview waiver, meaning you still have to apply for a visa, but you would submit that without having to go through the interview process. It's generally restricted for same visa category and as long as it hasn't expired more than a year ago. And so it has to be within 1 year of the expiration date. Uh, every consulate handles this differently. Somebody's asking about a graduate assistantship position. We do not have a graduate assistantship position anymore in our office. For those looking for graduate assistantships, I would say start with your academic department. Look at the UA student employment website. Keep an eye on the graduate school's messages. Sometimes they're able to share these things out and get in touch with the graduate school. Uh, Question on DS 160 regarding person entity paying for the trip. When you are on full scholarship, it's best to answer one of the options about which of the options: self, other person, present employer, employer in the U.S., other company or organization. Generally speaking, if you're on a full scholarship, if you have an assistantship with funding, you can list other company organization. That is the University of Alabama. If you choose self, that is for true self-payers. Other person would be for family. Other company and organization could also include, loan companies or external grant agencies or scholarship agencies. Um, Yes. So somebody else is talking about their ties to the home country. I own a home in India and I have dependent parents to come back to and apart from a job. Yes, all these things. Whatever can establish your ties to the home country is what you need to show. So if you own property, great. If you don't own property, but you are the, eldest child and you will inherit your parents' property or company, these are the things you might want to have in writing, like a letter clarifying that. So, uh, okay, somebody's asking about deferring admissions and about the rejection under Section 212F. So again, deferrals of admissions, that is something that you will have to have conversations with your academic department, your graduate program director, and the graduate school. There are some that will seek deferrals. I will say if these travel bans and visa bans hold into effect and there are not exceptions granted, to those in the travel ban countries or visa ban countries, uh, deferrals, you may be talking about years of deferrals. And I'm not, I'm not trying to be mean about it or anything like that, but this is by executive order. And so we have to assume that if it holds in place and there are not changes made to it, it's going to hold for the duration of the presidency and this administration. So keeping that in mind.
I just wanted to add to that because we've had a few questions that I've been answering in the Q&A. If you are eligible to defer, it really depends. For many of you who applied during free app week, unfortunately, you can only defer by paying the application fee. So that's really something to consider if you are from one of the countries that are banned. Is it worth the risk of paying the fee to defer if, the travel ban stays in place. But definitely, if you have questions, please email us. I put our grad school email. We are happy to answer those. But if you are eligible to defer, you put that request in your application portal. And then it will send a request to your department who has to approve that deferral. They're agreeing to. And definitely, if you have received funding for the fall and you're wanting to defer, that's definitely a conversation that you need to have with your department. The sooner that you have that conversation, the better, because they can really, make that decision, see if they will have funding in the spring or possibly next year for you, because that will really impact that. But definitely, please email us sooner rather than later if you are needing to defer and have questions about that.
So we've just got, I think, 3 more questions here, and I'll run through those. It's been difficult getting connected to supervisors or staff in my department. I'm assuming your academic department. Is there a better way? So you may want to reach back out to the graduate school to talk with them specifically. So just keeping in mind, the university is made up of students and faculty who are here between August and May. And then there's everybody else. That includes Caitlin and myself and Trong and Katie Grace, who work here year round. So during summer, it is often very difficult to get in touch with academic departments because faculty are paid on 9-month contracts. So if you're not getting paid for the months of June, July, and August, then why would you be here? I say that jokingly, but seriously, that is the reason why it's really difficult to get in touch with people here, is because it's just so fewer staff. On top of that, the professional staff who might be there may be attending professional conferences in summer. Trong and I just got back from a conference specifically set in summer so that it would not interfere with our work year, like the academic year. Most major conferences are held during the summer for that very reason. And so you may find that faculty are away, or they may be doing field research. That's another thing that drags them away. So just get in touch with the grad school. They will be the best point of contact to try to help you get connected back with the department. Somebody with another social media question, Karina asks about, she forgot to include a TikTok account that she never used and don't have access to. Could that be a problem? I don't see it being a problem. I mean, you're trying to disclose fully. Gosh, I've also deleted my TikTok account, and if I don't know of which handle I used for it. Do your best to disclose it. If you weren't able to put it in the DS-160, once your DS-160 is submitted, I don't believe you can edit it. So at the visa appointment, bring it up. Say, hey, I forgot to include this one piece of information. And so that they can add it in there. And then Alex asks about the 2-year ban that comes with a J-1 visa. So for clarity, it's not a 2-year ban. It's called the 212E, 2-year home residency requirement. If you're on a J-1 visa, not all J-1 visa holders are subject to the 212E. But if you are on government funding on a J-1 visa, if you're coming in a critical skills list area, you may be subject to that. It by itself is not enough to prove the home country ties, but it can help. Like you can remind the visa officer, like, hey, and as you know, I'm subject to this, so I can't really stay longer than I'm allowed. So that might not satisfy them completely, but it could help you. But by itself, I do not think that that's strong enough tie to the home country. So just take that with a grain of salt. And I think we've gotten through all of our questions in the Q&A.
Which is great. Yeah. So definitely I put again the email to International Student and Scholar Services Office, their email, if you have any questions regarding the webinar today or next steps. But also if you have questions related to admissions, or even if you, like Carter said earlier, trying to get in contact with your academic department, please reach out to us at gradschool@ua.edu. We're happy. Hang in there. It's such a interesting time, but we are happy to help in any way that we can, and just keep us posted, keep your departments posted on all the things so we can best assist you. I want to thank our panelists for joining us, and also want to plug we have one final Grad Connect session coming up for our international students. I will put that in the chat. So it is the session like final steps, and we also will have a current student panel, basically just to give some tips on what to pack, when to arrive, how to arrive, don't pack your bananas from your home country because they will be black by the time that they arrive, things like that. I always learn something new every year that we do this session. I'm like, I never would have thought of that. So definitely join us. Just some last minute tips for those who are coming in August. And I sent the link to our portal where you can sign up for that last session on July 15th. Really recommend you doing that. But if there's anything that we can do, guys, please reach out. Thank you again for joining us, guys, and y'all have a great day. And do we say roll tide in unison?
We say roll tide.
Roll Tide.
Roll tide.
Roll tide, everybody.